In the 20th century, something over 100 million people were killed by their own governments, right? And that's not even counting killing people in foreign countries in war, right? This is why I do not ignore human nature. Actually, it's usually the statists who are ignoring human nature. Or rather, what happens is that they look at the flaws in human nature only when thinking about anarchy, but not when thinking about government. They forget the fact that the government is going to be run by humans with the same nature. Okay, so here's the basic theoretical point. Okay, you have people who are selfish and would like to exploit and harm other people for their own benefit. It's just like stealing other people's stuff or whatever. Okay, and also sometimes people are just like not even taking your stuff, they just don't like you and so they want to kill you or whatever. Okay, but then, so you're like, okay, so we need to have one group of humans to have like power over everyone else so that they can suppress the people who would be doing these bad things. The only problem is then, oh, well, what's going to stop them from doing the bad things? Why won't they be robbing and killing? Which, by the way, like in the 20th century, you know, something over 100 million people were killed by their own governments, right? And that's not even counting, you know, killing people in foreign countries in war, right? Which was, you know, more tens of millions. Okay. So anyway, you're like, yeah, who's going to stop them? Okay. The difference between anarcho-capitalism and government is competition versus monopoly, right? And also voluntary versus coercive membership. So in the governmental situation, you're coerced to belong to this state, and there's only one. There's only one operating in the region, which is a defining property of government, right? Like it has a monopoly. Okay, and then in the anarcho-capitalist idea is that you have organizations that are otherwise similar to governments, except that there's meaningful competition. Meaning like if you don't like this one, you can just switch to a different one. Okay, and like that's the main difference. That's the main difference between capitalism and socialism, and also the difference between anarcho-capitalism and government, okay? Our current system is just like, you know, socialism for the police industry, the police and court industry, okay? And socialism doesn't work well for any of the other industries. And the reason is when you have a monopoly, that's when you fuck with everyone else. If you have a monopoly, then you go, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. I'm just going to I'm gonna like jack up the prices. I'm gonna like, you know, beat the shit out of my customers or whatever, because they have no other choice because I've got a monopoly. But when you have competition, then you're like, oh, whoa, I better not piss off the customers, right? Because they'll just like go to my competitor. And like, there's all these other firms who are constantly trying to take my market share, you know, selfish people. This is all, you know, like taking into account human selfishness. Selfish people are going to say, well, I better not screw with my customers because they can go to somebody else. But if they can't go to somebody else, then you just like screw with them, right? You know, this is why, you know, competition works better than government monopoly.